This is just a kind of a quick video off the hoof. I was out of the house most of the day, and when I got home I felt compelled to definitely go and get fresh harvest. And I wanted to show just a little bit of the kind of harvest that a person can get by growing just a small amount of vegetables and leafy greens in your own home. And I was just appreciating how beautiful they are. Like this here is a plate full of red deer tongue lettuce, and there's so much more still out there. And as they grow, it's been really interesting to observe the stages of growth for a plant as simple as the lettuce. They start off really small and tender, and if you let them grow through their full cycle, then you get to see their hardier stages, which are just beautiful greens. Like, these are so impeccable looking, I didn't even want to pick them. But yeah, like, this will last me for today and probably tomorrow. And then every day I get a harvest of flowers, and these are edible flowers. Beautiful in their taste as they are to look at. Like, when I pick the petals off these marigolds, for instance, like, bees come to after me because the scent is on my hands. While picking these, the aromas enter our bodies through our skin, through our aroma. Yeah, the marigolds are beautiful. There's also cornflowers, which is this purple petals, tiny purple petals, and borage, which I've talked about so many times because I love this one. It's a beautiful 5-petal blue flower. There was just like 2 handfuls of cherry tomatoes, and these ones I really came to appreciate because they just start to flourish, and then all these reds start popping out of nowhere in this little jungle of tomato plants. And they yield this beautiful tasty tomato that's so small, literally the size of a cherry, and it feels like it's more work in a way to grow because you get less yield overall because you get these tiny ones, but they're so delectable. Their taste is really like eating a fruit, and so all that effort into growing such a small thing is something that I can really enjoy raw, as opposed to like a much heavier tomato that just feels a lot better when it's cooked down. Or also noticing how when the tomatoes are fresh like this, you want to eat them when they're literally ripened on the vine. But if you have a later harvest, or you're keeping around tomatoes that are greener, then come that winter season, it's like it feels better to cook them down and condense those carbohydrates and sugars into something more hearty even. So the way I'm going to use these is going to be with leftover broth from basically steaming other vegetables, boiling other things like some of the heavier greens such as kale and chard and rapini or beets. And the water, I save it because this water has been purified, so it's literally extract a lot of the minerals that are in those vegetables, which means that these are going to be very easy for us to take into our body, and hopefully our body absorb more of these because they're already suspended and released from the cells of the plant. So because not all of us may have great digestion, and so if we're just eating straight up raw greens, for instance, it might be a little hard to actually extract the nutrients out of those really tough fibrous cellular membranes. Okay, yeah, I got that out. And so this is why for some people it might be best to steam your greens, even potentially all your greens, if they give you any degree of irritation, so you can strengthen the integrity of the digestive tract. But anyways, that's another story. So I'm just going to warm up the broth on the stovetop, and then I'm not going to actually add anything into the cooking. I'm just going to add all the stuff already cut up and washed with needed, although I hardly wash anything. And then I'm just going to add that stuff into the stock that's already been brought to heat, stir it in along with some additional spices that are dried because these give an even more oomph of flavor, and a little bit of salt if desired, not necessary. And this is the kind of food that's so light and just kind of cleaning, especially at a transition phase of seasons, like going from summer to fall. The one thing I will actually put in heating with the stock is going to be these, which are scallions basically. that didn't, they were too tall to put in the fridge, so I just put them in a glass with some purified water and a little bit of sea salt solution so they have some minerals to uptake. And these things have literally been surviving on the table for like a week and a half. And they actually grew new shoots. It's amazing how the root structure just keeps this thing alive. If you put it in some decent water with a bit of minerals, then it's great. So, and these things taste really good. Once the greens are all used up, they're going to go into the actual bulb at the bottom. So just a lot of fun stuff to add. And then I'm sure the question everyone asks on, well, what about the protein? Well, yeah, it's important. I think that depending on the time of the season, the amount of activity you've been doing, the type of activity you've been doing, is going to really determine how much protein you need to take in, how much you need to rebuild in your body. So, not to mention that our digestion is weaker naturally in summer months as well. So, more typical go-tos for proteins such as meats might also be challenging for some people to process during that particular segment of the year. On the other hand, some people's digestion is just so messed up, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is. They're always needing a therapeutic diet. And yeah, levels of diet are another cool thing. There is the therapeutic diet, as I mentioned, which is like not eating specific foods and eating a lot more specific foods that are intended to have certain nutritive properties or healing abilities, taking out the foods that are being an insult into our bodies. But I don't want to get too heavy into nutrition stuff, because honestly, what I've really come to appreciate, all nutrition science aside, is just how to feel good with food, such as growing it, appreciating how it grows and its strength and its adaptability and freshness and aliveness, and then handpicking each leaf, each cherry tomato. These are the subtleties that draw extra energy into our body, and a lot of it is to do with appreciation. It's like showing appreciation for the fruits of the labor that I put in. And appreciation just makes us so much lighter as beings, as human beings, that honestly, it brings in a little less physical requirement, because we can literally feed ourselves by feeding our souls good feelings. And we really need to harbor those in life, because sometimes they can be scarce, and they shouldn't be. Food for me just always kind of gets involved as this unique lens to look at life and how our relationship is to life, to ourselves, and to other people. The way that people handle food and the artistry with it speaks to the personality of that person, whether you're into food or not. So that's just one of the things that I love to observe with people. It's a form of like eating psychology. But just a quick touch on the protein thing. I would basically add like some shelled hemp seeds, or some already sprouted and dehydrated nuts, or some seeds. Just whatever feels good. Plus, I can also use stock from bones that I make. Then there is the awesomeness of potentized plant essences in the form of essential oils. Like, I love running these stuff. That's what's running back here. This is a diffuser, and basically it just uses a little bit of water, and then I put in some drops of a particular blend of oils that I may want, and it's going to detoxify more dry and stagnant air inside the house. And you can totally tell the difference if you leave your home or leave the room and then you come back. You come in, you get a whiff of that air that is just full of the oil molecules that have been vibrated out of one of these machines. You just feel this invigoration and upliftment from how the atmosphere is actually being phased by the essential oils diffusing into the air. So that's another awesome thing that if anyone can make that investment, do that for yourselves. It is very enlivening and can also be used therapeutically to help people with ailments. So essential oils is definitely something to look into, especially if you have any ails. So I think I'm going to close it there. I just thought I'd go on a little rant about the beauty that I found in this day. So much gratitude. Thank you.